Hi, friends.
Oh, we're starting. Hi, friends. Whoopsies.
Welcome to Holistically Curious, episode 9.
Yes, episode 9.
So what's been going on? What's the happening?
The happening is, okay, so I just got back from doing something that makes me very uncomfortable.
Really?
So I stretched. Yes, I stretched myself. Not physically, but
Oh,
yeah, I know.
I thought you were used to that.
I know. I was going to say I do that on a regular basis, but no, this was like emotionally. I don't like getting my picture taken.
You're so pretty. You must love it.
Oh, no. There are still a lot of people that actually do like it. Like, I wish I was one of those people who love to do selfies and stuff all the time, but that's just not me, and it's not ever going to be me. But I had to get new pictures done, and yeah, and we were at a coffee shop at like 5:30 on a Friday, and it was packed. And let's just say there were a lot of people watching, and it was really challenging for me to do that.
That's awkward.
Awkward sauce.
I have to say, though, and you'd be the first to tell me that if it's uncomfortable, you're probably growing from it.
Exactly. You're right.
That's good experience.
It was. I'm glad I did it. I mean, I'm sure that the pictures are going to turn out great because Vivian is a friend that took them and she's great. But yeah, it was just one of those things that I really kind of had to force myself to do. I was actually nervous and uncomfortable all day waiting to do it. And so that was my thing today. That was my kind of going out on a limb and, pushing myself.
I kind of like it, Kim, because now I can say my sister was on a photo shoot on location.
Oh, that's right. Ooh, I feel so special.
That's fancy.
That's super fancy.
Yeah, my life hasn't been as fancy as yours lately.
No,
my life lately has been the opposite of fancy. My life has been sleeping in the hospital.
Ew.
In my husband's hospital room, in the clothes that I wore 2 days before to the emergency room, and using their toothbrush, which is really oddly seems to be made out of toothpicks and splinters.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It was very awkward. So let me tell you my depressing story, which starts with my little dog, Lexi, who is the love of my life.
Okay, wait a minute now. I know, but isn't your husband the love of your life too?
Anywho.
Okay.
So Lexi, the love of my life, a couple weeks ago got really sick and we took her to the vet, and it turns out she has an enlarged heart and some kind of heart condition. Luckily, the heart medicine, which is really cheap for dogs. I mean, I think that I'm just going to, if I ever have a heart condition, I'm going to ask the vet to write me a script. But the heart medicine did her wonders and she started feeling better. But apparently my husband was a little jealous of all the attention she was getting. So Tuesday, he decided to have a heart attack.
Ugh, and typical man.
I know, so annoying. And I'm laughing now, but Kim, you dealt with me for the 2 and 3 days while he was going through the heart attack. And then wasn't he, then rushed to another hospital that had a cardiac unit and had a stent put in, all of the drama that took place between the time that he walked up to me in my office and said, something's not right. Will you drive me to the hospital? And, I feel like I've talked about it nonstop. And so emotionally, I have felt drained and overwhelmed just with my own communication of it. And it really got me thinking, Kim, about how other people felt being the vessel that I'm pouring that emotion into. I think everybody kind of has that reaction. You want to be there for somebody and you're happy to. But when you're hearing something that is, energetically sad or upsetting in some way, I think everybody kind of reacts and brings it into themselves and feels it somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not like a sociopath or something, right? They have empathy.
Exactly. So happy you said that. If they have empathy. And most of us do have empathy, so we sort of feel these things that people are feeling when they have a connection between them and they're discussing it. And that can be exhausting for the recipient.
Definitely.
But it got me thinking because there is a higher level of absorption of other people's feelings and emotions and even physical sensations. There are people that feel these things and bring them into themselves almost on a cellular level. And those people are called empaths.
Ah, yes, yes. I know quite a few of those myself.
Yeah. In the community that you're a part of, that would be extraordinarily common, I think.
But Teresa, really quickly before you go on, because I know our friends love you and care, and there are probably many empaths listening. Just let them know that your hubby's okay and he's doing fine.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, they might be wondering how we could be talking about this so casually.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for saving face for me because I was feeling it. I do have a heart. He's doing amazingly. Modern medicine is incredible. He has absolutely no restrictions except a little bit of light lifting on the arm that ran the catheter through. And so he's doing amazing. That's why I can sort of be funny and laugh about it now.
We're all blessed and glad that it turned out the way it did and super, super happy. So, okay, now you can go on, but I just knew that our friends were probably wondering, is he okay? So anyway.
The friendly empaths can now absorb my joy that he's so well. But so I want to talk about empaths today, Kim. And I have to give a shout out to our very first requester, who is also our number one fan, Lizette. So thank you so much, Lizette. This is a great topic and it just clicked with my life, just fell in place just perfectly for where I was right now and nothing I would like to talk about better. So let's dig in. Let's talk about empaths.
Yes, let's do it.
First of all, there's highly sensitive people or there's genuine empaths. They're not necessarily the same. The two share traits in common, and a person can be both, but they're actually different states which can exist separately. So I'm going to start by talking about how they differ and what they have in common. Dr. Elaine Aron calls emotionally sensitive people highly sensitive people, or HSPs. HSPs have a low threshold for stimulation. They need their alone time, they're sensitive to light, sound, and smell. They can have aversion to large groups. And HSPs take longer in general to wind down after a busy day, since their ability to transition from high stimulation to being quiet is slower, and they're typically introverts. So does that sound familiar, Kim?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think Kim and I both have many of those traits of highly sensitive people. And Kim, even at the state of highly sensitive, that can be exhausting.
Yes, I can only imagine because I don't think I'm an empath because I know several friends that are, how draining just being HSP is.
Exactly.
Very draining.
Truthfully, I would have said I believed that I was an empath until I did the research for today. So at this point, I don't think I am. And I think what a gift that would be, but also what a burden that would be. And we're going to find out about that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the differences are. What makes an empath?
Yeah. So empaths can sense the subtle energies called prana in some healing traditions. And they actually absorb it from other people or even from the environment. So the energies absorbed by the empath allow them to actually experience and feel the emotions and physical sensations around them. So it's not just that you are affected by, you literally feel them. And that's something that highly sensitive people, HSPs, typically do not do unless they happen to be an HSP that is also an empath. God bless their souls.
Oh gosh. I probably would need medication. I don't know.
Yeah.
Lots of meditation or lots of medication or both.
Meditation is the best form of medication.
There you go. That's true, my friend.
But not the only one.
Right.
So as all things in life, the ability to empathize, empathize,
and emphasize,
and all the things that have to do with empathy. So they fall along a spectrum. So if you imagine a line drawn out on a piece of paper with narcissists at the far left, next would fall normal, loving, humanely empathetic people, followed by HSPs, highly sensitive people. And at the far end of that spectrum would be empaths. Because empaths energetically internalize the feelings and pain of others, they often have difficulty distinguishing someone else's discomfort from their own. Their experience of it is the same, whether caused by a direct impact upon their physical bodies or caused by something impacting another human being. Empaths have the innate ability to see far below the surface of other people. So most people learn to hide their true feelings and put on a mask for those around them. But an empath can feel and relate to other people's true emotions, which lie beneath the mask. Empaths are loving and act with compassion to assist other people in expressing themselves. Empaths are not cookie-cutter beings, and some are more attuned to close friends and acquaintances, while others absorb energies from complete strangers. Now, some are attuned to animals, plants, or even inanimate objects. And a good example of this could be the horse whisperer. Other empaths have a combination of some or all of these. So as I said, empaths are absorbing emotions and sensations from those around them, and it can be truly difficult to distinguish one's own feelings from those of others. And that can present a true problem for the empath, Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah, while a deep sense of knowing is a beautiful and powerful gift, it can be really confusing to the empath, particularly if they haven't developed a true sense of themselves. And even for the most self-aware empath, the constant influx of feelings, sensations, and emotions, both positive and negative, can have a debilitating effect. Being an empath is exhausting. Because of this, empaths can become recluses when necessary, retreating to their figurative cave when the outside world has become too much of a drain on their personal energy. So, Kim.
Yes, ma'am.
You're wondering, because I need you to be wondering.
Yes, I am wondering.
How does empathy work? And I'm stressing that empathy as opposed to empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's still so much that we don't understand about this, but there are some things that we do know. And can you guess what we have to dive into to get at the crux of the matter?
Oh gosh, put me on the spot.
What do I love?
Quantum physics.
Favorite subject, quantum physics.
Okay. Oh gosh, I am so relieved right now. I felt like that was like, I don't know. I felt like I was on a game show and that was like the $1 million question.
Me too, and I was really hanging there.
I thought I just blew it for a second. Phew.
So, over and over, because apparently holistics is an over and over all things related kind of subject, we have discussed energetic vibration. And everything has an energetic vibration or frequency. This means that even thoughts, feelings, and sensations, they literally have a physical presence because they have a vibrational presence. So it's thought that empaths are slightly more energetically suited to recognize these small changes that are not detectable to the eye or to our 5 ordinary senses. So to put this in terms that are more easily understood, let's look at another more ordinary form of communication. So I say something to you, Kim. I hate when you do blah, blah, blah.
I hate when I do blah, 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 too.
Yeah, we all hate when you do blah, blah, blah. So the words themselves, they hold an energetic pattern that comes from the person that forms them. And in this case, it's my energetic pattern, what I'm putting into it. So they're composed, first of all, of sound waves, and they're vibrating at a particular frequency or set of frequencies. And the sound waves are absorbed by the listener through their ears, processed in the brain of the listener by traveling through the receptors of the mind. The force field that is behind this form of communication is the energy, just as it is that which is behind forms of unspoken communication. But the vibrations of a speaker's words are often accompanied by intense feelings. For instance, if I really did hate when you did blah, 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 in that case, the vibrations of the spoken words would be enhanced by my emotions. And it's this enhancement of vibration which the empath can pick up and absorb into themselves. And this is true of other forms of communication. So it's body language as well. But the energetic waves of emotion can also be sent out and perceived by themselves without being linked to any verbal or body expression at all. That's kind of a nutshell of what it is, maybe. But who are they? So it's not uncommon. You know, we kind of talked about the crowd that you run in, and you're the founder of the Om Nation, and you are surrounded by all kinds of holistic practitioners and owners of holistic businesses. So you know this more than anyone. It's not uncommon for artistic people of all types to have a degree of empathy, I should say. Writers, singers, artists, and even artists of thought, like participants of think tanks. And in general, people with a high degree of creativity and imagination, they all have personalities that seem prone to being an empath. Now, you can find empaths in all walks of life, every culture, every community, but they do share some common characteristics. Empaths are deeply interested in diverse cultures and people, and they view them with a broad-minded perspective. They're the listeners, the problem solvers, the thinkers, the studiers of all manner of subjects. They're interested and they're deeply interested. Empaths are good listeners. They're good talkers. And sometimes they can be good listeners and good talkers. They're often very affectionate in personality and expression, so they make really good counselors. Empaths also connect with nature. They're often passionate towards nature and respectful of its bountiful beauty. You will frequently find empaths enjoying the outdoors, whether that is a walk on the sunny beach or a stroll in the rainy woods. And empaths are peacemakers. They have a tendency to openly feel what is outside of them more than what is inside of them. So that can cause empaths to ignore their own needs. But in general, an empath is nonviolent, non-aggressive, and leans more towards being the peacemaker. Empaths can be overwhelmed by the media. I so get this. If I have any empath in me, that's probably something I'm sensitive to. They're sensitive to TV, video, movies, news, broadcasts, violence, emotional dramas depicting shocking scenes of physical or emotional pain. Oh, whether it's inflicted on people or animals, it can bring an empath to tears. At times, they may feel physically ill or choke back tears. And Kim, I feel like you've experienced a little bit of a resolution of that in a way, because you shared with us that you were sort of focusing on more positive media lately. How's that been going?
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. And I have not gone back to my old ways. You know how you kind of fall into your rut where you're like, oh, I'll just turn that back on, you know, that podcast or that show I used to watch. But I've resisted, and I really think it's made a huge difference in my sleep, my overall mood. I can't even tell you. I think it was the best thing I've done in a long time.
Awesome. Another thing, the last thing in my list of things that empaths are is they're compassionate safe havens. All kinds of people and animals, they're attracted to the warmth and genuine compassion of empaths. And regardless of whether others are aware that someone is empathic, people are naturally drawn to them as like a metal object is drawn to magnets. So those are some of the things that empaths are, Kim. Let's talk about what they're not.
Okay.
They're not thin-skinned, they're not hypersensitive, wimpy, they're not melodramatic, temperamental. Oh my gosh. There's so many myths surrounding empaths, just as many as with highly sensitive people. Empaths are not self-absorbed. The truth is they often focus more on others than themselves, although they can be unexplainably moody or quiet on the outside, it isn't because they're excessively absorbed thinking about themselves. It's rather the emotions of others that they've drawn in. The empath's ability to intuitively feel the feelings of others is what weighs him down so much. In fact, it's characteristic of the empath to pay more attention to the needs of others than his own. Second thing is, empaths are not mentally ill. The truth is, they're magnets of negative energy, and it can create a psychological imbalance within them. It's because they're excellent listeners, they're confidants and counselors. It's common for people to be drawn towards their sincere and caring natures. Therefore, empaths experience a lot of emotional baggage dumping from other people, and they have difficulty releasing from the negative energy that remains in their minds and bodies afterwards. So unfortunately, that can lead to a lot of lingering depressive emotions that the empath is left with, and they can appear mentally ill and depressed. In some cases, they legitimately are, but in most cases, the empath is congested with remnants of harmful emotional energy, like sinuses can become congested with mucus during a flu virus. Yeah, that was ugly. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
It's a really good visualization. It's interesting you say that because I was actually wondering when you were talking about what empaths are and how often they're misdiagnosed as having a mental disturbance or being treated for mental illness like depression or anxiety when they're really just overstimulated with all of these energetic forces they're being bombarded with, that their system's being bombarded with. So it's interesting that you bring that up.
Another myth that goes along with it is that empaths are psychologically frail. And the truth is, they're biologically programmed to be more sensitive and in tune with their surrounding environment. An empath named Nicole Lawler wrote, "Empaths are essentially walking around in the world with all the accumulated karma, emotions, and energy from others. And the fact that most empaths aren't driven clinically insane by the constant emotional flux they experience, that's testimony enough to their mental strength." Another thing, Kim, is empaths are sometimes conceived as lazy. And the truth is they can lack mental, emotional, and physical energy due to the intense empathetic ability to understand others. Chronic fatigue syndrome, amongst other physical issues like headache, insomnia, fibromyalgia, have all been commonly attributed to empaths. And if our minds are constantly overloaded with stress, tension, and pressure, it's going to translate to the body as well. And I think that speaks to what you mentioned earlier when they're just absorbing and being bombarded with all of this stuff. It takes its toll for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm sure that that's why it's even more important for people that are empaths to be mindful of their self-care. I mean, we all need self-care, but I think they have to be really mindful of that, especially, like you said, going out in nature where it's more calm, where maybe you're not around a bunch of people, where you're not getting bombarded with that stimulus.
Exactly right, Kim. And there are a lot of self-care things that empaths can do to make it a little more tolerable. One of them is empaths, after absorbing so much energy, we mentioned they prefer to climb in their cave, be alone. They like to relax, and that includes taking naps instead of being around a lot of people, a lot of extra energies to be absorbed. Things like yoga, meditation. Again, all of the basic things that we're finding over and over are helpful to all of us, are helpful to empaths.
I'm just curious what you think, and I don't know the answer, and I don't know if you would know the answer, but you mentioned that they're given the system that can handle it because, biologically or whatever, they're created in this physical form that they can handle this extra, even though it wears on them, they have to be strong, and they are strong. I'm just wondering what the universal purpose. Why did spirit bring these beautiful entities here with these abilities to be so empathetic? Is it because we need more of these people in the world that are going to be understanding and maybe more forgiving of people's emotions because they can sense the underlying cause. Like, maybe you're being angry and you're showing anger to them, but they can sense the underlying cause of pain and unhappiness that's causing that anger. I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
So almost, what is the purpose? What is the genesis? And Kim, there are a lot of theories, and they're really very interesting. I didn't get into them in depth because they're so lengthy, but among the theories are, and one I kind of lean to is that we were all created, and at one time, maybe as a species, we all had that ability, but some of us evolved away from it due to maybe the distractions of the modern mind. And some people just genetically seem to hang on to that aspect. Another great theory is that they're related to aliens. And I loves me a good alien theory. So,
I love me some aliens. That's my favorite so far.
As the great teacher Richard Miller says, everything perfect just as it is. So whatever reason that we were given empaths, they're very valuable to this world. And as we discussed, it's quite difficult for them, but it's also an amazing gift. And I'm very appreciative to have them in this world. And you know what else I'm appreciative of?
What, my friend?
Our listeners who stay tuned.
Hi, friends. Teresa and I want to tell you about an awesome company you're going to want to check out. It's called Lumenkind, and they believe that by discovering and staying true to our intentions, we're able to live a more meaningful, productive, and peaceful life.
Lumenkind offers beautiful mindful marks, which are temporary wearables to help remind you of your intentions and to stay present.
Yeah, these simple and fun tools come in a collection of designs with suggested intentions that are designed to focus your mind and calm your spirit. Things like, I express myself and listen openly, or I am fully present in the moment.
You can use the suggested intentions that accompany the mindful marks or create your own meanings for each one.
Yeah, they're super easy to use. You just select your intention and find a place on your body to be your visual reminder. Then use your mindful mark throughout your day to remind you to breathe and reconnect to your greater purpose.
And guess what?
What?
While supplies last, Lumenkind is offering Holistically Curious listeners a free gifty pack of mindful marks. So go to www.lumenkind.co/HC. That's www.lumenkind.co/HC to get yours today. Welcome back, friends.
Welcome back. Yay. We missed you.
So, Kim, what you got for me today?
What do I have for you? Very good question. Well, it actually has to do with you because
it's all about me. So that makes sense.
That is true. I forgot. Well, you kind of gave me the idea for this because in our last episode, episode 8, you were talking about the different types of angels. And you mentioned the power bearers, which are said to be the angels who are the keepers or the guardians of the Akashic Records. Well, it got me thinking about the Akashic Records, and I thought our listeners would enjoy learning about them. And, you know how my memory is. I figured I could use a memory refresh as well. So that's my topic today.
I'm so excited. I love the subject of the Akashic Records, Kim. So I love to learn things in general and to think about having access in whatever form it is to that vast array of every kind of knowledge that there could be is just kid in the candy store.
Exactly. From all the knowledge from the eons, from the beginning of time. Yeah. So, Teresa, the Akashic Records, they're the record of your soul's journey.
Mm.
From the time you arise from source until you eventually return to source. So, this process can take numerous lifetimes or numerous incarnations. And it's really interesting because everybody imagines the Akashic Records in a different way. Some people imagine them as a library with each book representing a lifetime. And while others think of the Akashic Records as a supercomputer for the universe, which I like that. It's like, it's kind of taken it to what is this, the 21st century? What are we in?
We're in the 21st century.
That's what I thought. So it's kind of giving it that updated way of looking at it. But some people do think of it as that supercomputer up there that all the information is stored in for every individual who's ever incarnated on Earth or anywhere else, any other planet, any other dimension where that information is stored. So I really do believe that we all will interpret or visualize the Akashic Records slightly differently, just depending on our own unique life path or our soul energy. I equate this to how different people who've had near-death experiences see heaven. They all see it based on their individual backgrounds and life journeys, maybe on their own religious perspectives and things like that.
Yeah, kind of as an aside, I always feel that it's sort of more how you interpret what you've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when they're interpreting it, they are back in their living body. So they can only sort of process it through the lens of what they've experienced in their lifetimes. Your mind is not infinite as your soul.
Exactly.
In the example of the Akashic Records, you may interpret it as a paper book with paper.
Exactly. Or a Kindle, whatever floats your boat, people. I'm so glad you said that, Teresa, because that's exactly it. It really doesn't matter how we imagine the records to be, because like you said, each person's concept of the Akashic Records is simply a tool used to access them within your limited capabilities of our physical mind, right? We're not in spirit, and we just can't. Our minds, I don't think, can conceive of it in the enormity of the reality. You said it much more eloquently than I did. Because really, in reality, the records are recorded and stored energetically in the vibration of love. And it's that love that makes up everything in the universe. Actually, some people, Teresa, refer to the Akashic Records as the DNA of the universe. And I love that concept.
That's incredible. Our DNA holds our incredible history of our physicality.
Exactly. And of all the ancestors who have ever been. It's all encompassed in there. More than just a reservoir of events, the Akashic Records contain every deed, every word, feeling, thought, and intent that's ever occurred at any time in the history of the universe. I mean, that's just mind-blowing to me. But the records are much more than simply a memory storehouse. These Akashic Records are interactive in that they have a tremendous influence upon our everyday lives, our relationships, our feelings, our belief systems, and the potential realities we draw towards us. Because the Akashic Records contain the entire history of every soul since the dawn of creation, they connect each one of us to each other. Not only do individual souls have their own unique Akashic Record, but the souls within groups, the souls within events, so something that's happened that many, many souls have been involved with, these souls that are within a specific organization or in a specific location, they all have a unique Akashic record that they share. That was something that I actually don't know if I ever knew or I forgot, but that really fascinates me.
I've never heard it, Kim, and I love it. It's like everything is cross-referenced.
Exact. That's such a good way of looking at it. And that cross-referencing that you bring up, that is what can really draw us toward or repel us from one another based on our soul history.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I know we talk about karma, and there's certain people we come across and we just have this thing, whether we're instantly drawn to them or we instantly repel from them. I think that that is also information that's stored in our Akashic Records, whether it's from your soul group or whatever soul event or our personal Akashic Records. And I think that's fascinating that it's not only just our karmic history, or maybe that's just our karmic history that's stored in the records. Many people believe that the Akashic Records inspire us to dream and invent, which is so cool. They say that the Akashic Records really help to mold and shape levels of human consciousness. And it's said that they embody an ever-changing fluid array of possible futures that are called into potential as we, as humans, interact with each other and learn from the data that's already been accumulated. So it's an ongoing, ever continually changing, evolving, living process.
Wow, Kim, the computer reference is really coming into play. It's like a database with the history and a program of all the possible futures.
It really is almost like AI or artificial intelligence. Like it's evolving and changing and mutating as we go.
As it is, so are we.
Exactly.
As above, so below. Ooh.
Oh,
yeah, I did it.
I love it. That is true, my friend. The information within these records, it's available everywhere all the time. So we can access this information at any time, and we do. You know, it's not even that we consciously do it. We do it unconsciously every day, all day. The flashes of intuition that we have, the knowing hunches that occur all the time, they're just glimpses into that divine wisdom that's contained within the records. Every being in the universe contributes to and accesses these records because we're all created by and connected to the energy of love. And our divine birthright includes having access to the divine wisdom and the knowledge contained within these records. The concept of the Akashic Records has been referred to in every spiritual tradition on the planet. In the Bible, it's referred to as the Book of Life. The Akashic Records are also referred to as the cosmic mind or universal mind, as well as the Eye of God and the Word of God. References to the Akashic Records or the Eternal Book of Life date back to antiquity. References in the Old Testament and beyond give us a sense that there is a collective storehouse of knowledge that's written literally on the fabric of reality. The energy that contains the information in the Akashic Records is called Akasha, which is a Sanskrit term meaning primary substance. And this is the energy that makes up everything in the universe. It really is the energy of love. In Hindu mysticism, Akasha is thought to be the primary principle of nature, from which the other four natural principles of fire, air, earth, and water are created. Every vibration that occurs in the universe through our thoughts, words, and deeds creates an indelible imprint on the Akasha, leaving an energetic recording of every soul and every creation. And Teresa, you've probably heard this name before, but arguably the most famous modern day channeler of the Akashic Records was Edgar Cayce.
Ah, yes.
Yes. Well, he acquired an extensive amount of information regarding the Akashic Records during his clairvoyant work. Edgar Cayce, he possessed the uncanny ability to literally just lie down on a couch, close his eyes, fold his hands over his stomach, and put himself into an altered state, in which he was able to just tap into the Akashic Records.
That just makes sense to me, Kim. You know, we're talking in the previous section about empaths and how they absorb the energy of others and are able to bring that into themselves. One kind of energy, physical sensation, emotions. Why not could some other people be really attuned and able to pull in energy in the form of the Akashic data?
That's such a great point. And I think they are. I think yeah, you're right. It's just that they're more in tune. I think that some people are just naturally more in tune. And then we'll talk about later that there's ways that you can kind of exercise that. And there's also ways that you can increase your ability to tap into those records as well.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay.
Yeah. So the accuracy of Casey's psychic work is evidenced by approximately 12 biographies and literally hundreds of titles, which explore various aspects of his information and the thousands of topics he discusses simply from pulling information from those records. So the enormity of what he received is incredible. When he was asked about the source of this information, Casey replied that there were essentially two. The first was the subconscious mind of the individual for whom he was giving the reading. And the second was the Akashic Records. So it really was drawing upon information from both.
And Kim, I also recall that he would be incredibly physically devastated after doing these readings. He would just sleep for hours and be just completely wiped out. It goes along with the empaths when you're drawing in the energy. It can be extremely debilitating to these human bodies.
Exactly. And I think that's such a good point because you're dealing with a spiritual energy, which our physical form can only take so much. I can't imagine how draining that would be. So, Teresa, the Edgar Casey readings, they really suggest that each of us writes the story of our lives through our thoughts, our deeds, our interactions with the rest of creation. And this information has an effect upon us in the here and now. In fact, the Akashic Records have such an impact on our lives and on the potential and probabilities we draw towards us that any exploration of them cannot do anything but help. They provide us with insights into the nature of ourselves and our relationship to everything, everyone we can possibly imagine.
I think it would be amazing to be able to learn from your past.
Yes, and foresee probabilities of the future, you know?
Learn from your past and the past and the past and the other past.
In the past from eons and eons and eons.
The dude before that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, but we've got a time limit here, girlfriend, so.
In the past. Okay, go on.
Okay, you're done. There really is much more to our lives, our histories, and our individual influence upon the future than we have perhaps even dared to imagine. And by accessing information from the Akashic Records, a lot can be revealed to us because by divine birthright, we have the ability to access our own personal Akashic records, as well as the records of any group of which we are a part. So every being on the planet can access the areas of the Akashic records of which their soul plays a part. Conversely, no one can access our personal Akashic records without our express permission. The Akashic records are protected by the spiritual beings who are referred to as the guides, the keepers, and as we said earlier, the angelic power bearers, or the guardians of the Akashic records. These guides help us to access our Akashic records, and they hold strong energetic protection around our information that's contained within our own personal records. The clear truth contained in the Akashic records allows us the freedom to choose grace in all things. Because when we know the truth, we can release any illusions we have created that cause us to believe we are separate from God, separate from the ultimate source. The Akashic records are one of the most powerful tools available on the planet today to help us remember our oneness with every being in the universe, and to find our personal and collective power to create the realities that we truly desire. People access the Akashic records often through intuition, prayer, meditation, and just like we said earlier, those flashes of insight. Many of us experience these glimpses of Akashic records on a daily basis without realizing it. For many people, intentionally opening ourselves to our intuition and inner guidance provides a powerful opening to the information in the Akashic records. We can also learn, as I said earlier, how to access these records more readily through different techniques, such as different types of meditations where you are focusing on the records. There's breathing techniques, different types of pranayama, perhaps a sacred spoken prayer of opening, which opens your records and gives you that ability. And there's all sorts of resources out on the internet. There's lots of amazing books, which I will put on our website and post on Facebook, because there's just basically a vast array of ways that you can tap into the records. And it really is just a matter of repetition, continuing to really experiment and over tapping in, trying to access that information, and it will become easier over time. In addition to opening the records ourselves, we can often find great clarity, sometimes even more clarity, by allowing someone else to read our records, because that stepping away, not doing it ourselves and having someone else do it, we remove our ego out of it. And we are sure that it's not just kind of our mind, our ego getting in the way and obscuring what that message is. A reading consists of having someone who has experience and expertise in working with the records open your records so that you can receive information. And this can be extremely valuable because it offers specific information that arises directly just from your personal soul journey. Every conceivable question regarding your life and your journey can be answered during a reading, because your personal records contain every piece of information regarding your soul's experience. And you can learn about your relationships, your health, your soul path, and every other conceivable topic regarding you. Because the information in the Akashic Records is held in the energy of love, the answers you receive to questions during a reading offer helpfulness and hopefulness, as well as profound empowerment through knowing the truth of your situation and the possibilities unfolding in your life. I just think it really can be an invaluable tool.
Yeah, I think a tool like that is so imbued with loving desire for your good is incredible.
Exactly. And that's the big thing that I kept coming back to in my research, is that everything they say is love. And the energy of the Akashic Records is all about love, even though obviously there's a lot of mistakes in my records, you know? You don't erase those things, but you see them for the purpose and the beauty that they are, because it's part of your journey. And even though we think that something was a mistake or maybe something you're not proud of that you've done, they're shown in the light that is for your well-being and goodness. And they really are all about the love and the hopefulness and the helpfulness. I've had a reading before. I found it profoundly helpful. I've tried to tap into my records, and I think that's something I definitely want to continue to try to work on that skill.
Yeah, Kim, going back to your comment about mistake, it's a journey, isn't it? And if some of the journey is a little more rocky, isn't that just makes it a better walk in a way?
Hey, we all got those hills to go up, you know, where it's a little more difficult. And then we've got the downward part of the hill where it's a lot easier. We gain some speed. It's all easy. And, you know, the terrain is going to be different on your journey, and it's all beautiful.
Well, when it's more challenging, Kim, aren't you learning a little more? And then aren't you a little more proud of your accomplishment when you've been through it?
Definitely. I can agree with that 100%. And even the parts that I thought at the time were just devastating parts of my journey, always looking back, I'm so grateful for. Yeah, I think that that's the importance of the records, because you see the totality rather than that one quagmire of a moment. You see the beauty and love of the whole journey. So powerful. So that's my little ditty about the records.
So I'm wondering, can our records be ordered on Amazon or? How does that work exactly?
Yeah, it would be really cool if we could get the audio version of that and just, you know, put on the headphones. And I think you have to open yourself up. I think for me, I think a powerful technique really is going into meditation and then speaking to your guides, your angels, and just saying, look, I am opening myself up to the wisdom of my records, and then asking a question or whatever it is that you're wondering, needing assistance, whatever, and then being in stillness and just waiting for an answer, because I really believe that you will get an answer.
I love that, Kim, and I'm sure you're right, because they would not have offered us such a powerful and almighty tool if we weren't able to utilize it. So we just have to determine the best way to build those muscles, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And what works for you, because I do think different ways will work better for different people. We're all different. So maybe meditation works great for you. Maybe it's actually working with a specific prayer of opening the records. Maybe it's the breathing techniques, whatever it is. And like I said, I'll be happy to put some resources on our website so that people can kind of, if they want to dive into it a little more, please do so.
Thank you, Kim. That is so cool. And, you talked about opening yourself up, and I'm going to open myself up right now, and I'm putting out a call to action out there. I know that you guys are out there. We see the numbers, we see the downloads, but we'd love to hear from you. Please log in to iTunes and leave a review for us. A positive review is really helpful in other people being able to find our podcast. Or find us on pretty much any of the social medias under Holistically Curious, and drop us a word. Let us know what you're curious about, what you're interested in, what you like about the podcast, or what you would like to see. We're open and we're welcoming of any of those suggestions.
We are, definitely. We want to hear from you. We'll even take any criticisms you might have. I mean, I'm sure you don't have any, but...
Obviously not. But please address them to Kim.
Oh. And I'll share them with Teresa.
Yeah. She'll rephrase them in a way that a highly sensitive person can absorb.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, no, we would love to hear if you'd like something to be slightly different. We're open to it.
Yeah.
There's another thing that I would love for you guys to do is take advantage of the great offer from Lumenkind. I mean, that's a free gifty pack of mindful marks.
Totally free, people.
That is no cost.
No cost. So do it. You will love them.
Tell them how they can get that.
That's www.lumenkind.co/HC and grab your free gifty pack while supplies last. And Teresa, there's one last thing.
Yeah.
Stay
curious.
Bye. Bye.